Hello, I introduce to you Professor Emerita of English and Creative Writing at Binghamton University-SUNY, Maria Mazziotti Gillan, also known as the People's Poet of Paterson, New Jersey. As an American Book Award recipient for All That Lies Between Us, Maria has done a remarkable job of bringing poetry to an extraordinarily broad audience. She is author of 24 books, founder of the Poetry Center in Paterson, New Jersey, and is editor of the Paterson Literary Review. Her newest poetry collection is titled When the Stars Were Still Visible, and other recent publications include What Blooms in Winter and the poetry collaboration with Mark Hilringhouse, Paterson Light, and Shadow. Let's all welcome Maria Mazziotti Gillan.
I wanted to be Keats or Shelley. And years later, I went to see their houses and I thought, these were rich people. I'd like to talk about first my parents, who did not speak English very well. My mother was basically illiterate. My father went to night school here, but he was an immigrant and he never could quite get his mouth around English. But he taught us very clearly how to live our lives. And he felt that you had to be willing to put yourself on the line. You had to stand up. You had to be heard. He wrote letters to the editor until he was 92. And when I said to my mother, when I was 17, we were having Sunday dinner, and a cousin said, so what are you going to do? When I was 17. And I said, I want to be a poet. And there was dead silence in that house, because somebody poor, somebody with no money cannot be a poet. I didn't understand that at the time, but my mother saved for a year to buy me, and she made 25 cents an hour in the factories of Paterson, sewing by hand. And she saved for a year to buy me a Smith Corona portable typewriter, a pink portable typewriter, so I could be the writer I said I wanted to be, even though she thought it was insane. Who was going to support me while I did this writing? I wrote a book a few years ago called Writing Poetry to Save Your Life, How to Find the Courage to Find Your Stories. And I still think we all have the crow. And the crow sits on our shoulders and tries to keep us from doing everything we need to do in our lives. And he whispers in your ear, and he tells you, and I always use this symbol for my students, he tells you what's wrong with you. You're too foreign, you're too fat, you're too low class, you're too tall, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too dumb. All the things that keep you from doing. If you listen to the crow, you won't be able to do anything. So in order to be anything, a great doctor, a great lawyer, a great writer, a great teacher, you have to be ready to knock that crow off your shoulder. In order to do anything, you have to be able to move down to a place in your body I call a cave. And it seems to me it's around your belly, but it's probably because I'm Italian and I think a lot about food. But I think it's in your belly, and it's very dark and it's very scary, and it has all the bad things that have ever happened to you and all the good things that have ever happened to you. But it's still dark in there and it's frightening, and the crow will try to keep you from going in there. And if you're going to do anything in your life, you have to get rid of the crow. I tried in the beginning. I was trying to prove I wasn't just a dumb immigrant kid. And I wrote all these poems about Greek gods and all this other BS. And then a graduate school professor said to me when my first book was published, which was full of Greek gods, he said to me, you know, it's in this one poem about your father that you find the story you have to tell. And that a door flew open in my head. I was embarrassed by my parents because they didn't speak English and they were poor and we lived in a cold water flat. But I realize now, looking back, how much they taught me about how to live your life, how it was important to make a mark in the world. And they told me you have to do that. You have to claim your space. Now, I was very shy. I was afraid of everything. And so it took me a long time to be able to speak out. And I would know something is wrong, what was wrong, but I couldn't get the courage to speak out and to say what I believed. And And then I'd hear my father's voice saying, speak up, ground your power, seize your power. And I try to say that to my graduate students. Stop whispering, seize your power.